Hi, everybody. Welcome to our channel, Our Scientology Stories, Peeling the Onion. My name is Mark Fisher, and I'm going to welcome in here my co-host. Here she is, Janis Gillham Grady.
Hello,
How you doing,
everybody.
Janis?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing good. It's been a fun day. I went to a baby shower today, and I won 2 of the games.
Oh, what
So
games did you play, and what did you win?
I had to guess how big the bride's belly was, and I was the closest match. And then I had to guess how many candies were in the jar, and I was the closest match. So it's been a good day.
That's good. That's good. We got people coming in here. We already got 51 people in here. Let us know in the chat where you're from, where you're watching us from. We've got somebody here from Northeast Pennsylvania, John Smotso. I can't pronounce his name. Let us know where you're from. Chat it up, people. Let us know what's going on here. We've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to tell you a story. We're going to start a new feature called our Silly Scientology Story, and then we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away a prize from Janis, and then we're also going to give away an autographed book from her. The prize we'll give away at about 30 minutes into the video, and then the book will give away at about an hour into the video. And of course, we're going to answer your questions. So go ahead and fill up the questions, okay? And we will get to them. Do us a favor, if you're going to write a question in the chat, write the word question in front of it, so that way it's easy for us to spot. You can also super chat us. You know, we could use the donations for equipment and making the channel better, or super sticker us, either one, whichever you want to do. Okay, we've got people in here. Janis, can you read off some of them? Daytona Beach, I see. Memphis, Tennessee.
We got Brazil, and we got Mexico City. We got Ohio, North
Kentucky,
Carolina,
Houston,
Sweden,
Texas, Ramsey, Minnesota, Washington State, El Paso, Texas, Orange County, California, Colorado, Mexico City. Welcome, everybody. Any
Rhode
others?
Island, Florida.
Florida, okay. And Go Knights Go. Yes, we have our hockey team, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, are in the Stanley Cup Final, so they're playing tonight.
Go Knights.
Yeah, Go Knights Go. If we have any Florida Panther fans here, I'm sorry. We got Half Asleep in Sweden. Okay. We've got Arizona.
Oh, we got onion peelers from everywhere.
What's that?
We have onion peelers from everywhere.
Everywhere. That's right. We're up to 94 onion peelers right now. Keep on coming, everybody. Lakeland, Florida, Lancaster, California, Minnesota. I've mentioned that already. And let's see, Oregon, Sweden, Mojave City.
Okay. Is there a problem with my microphone, John?
Can you get closer to it, Janis?
Okay.
It sounds better when you get closer to it.
All right.
Yeah. Is Janis using a new microphone? Not yet.
No, Mark has to come over and set that up for me because I failed miserably.
We got Jefferson Hawkins checking in from Portland, Oregon. Hi, Jeff. How you doing? Goldie's here to moderate the chat. Okay. So it looks like we're already over 105 people here already, and we've only been going for 4 minutes. So that's a good thing. Okay. Anyway, like I said before, put your questions in there. This is mainly going to be a question and answer video. So if you've got anything you want to ask about, any subject, we're here. We're going to answer it. Okay. And like I said, write question in front of it if you wanted to, for us to easily spot it. Or if you want to super chat us, super sticker us, go right ahead. It's not required. We're going to answer everybody's questions anyway. And so I wanted to let everybody know that. What happened to you, Janis? Are you still there? I just lost Janis, and I don't know what happened to her. So hold on a second. I'm going to send her another invite here, and we will carry on. Okay. Just be 1 second here, and we'll have Janis back. And this happens, technical difficulties on these live streams. She moved her computer or something, just touched it, and then she lost it. So I just sent her another invite, and she'll be back here shortly. Anyway, so like I said before, we've got a silly story that we're going to tell you about, and we've got some other slides here that we want to show you. and then we're going to do the giveaway and answer your questions and that type of thing. Okay. And just waiting for Janice to come back. Maybe her laptop died again. Here, she's calling me. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, Janice, I sent you another invite.
Oh, okay, so it's me.
What's that?
So I'm the one that's kicked out?
Yeah, you got kicked out. I don't know why. You touched your computer or something. I'm still on live. I'm still on live.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and hit that invite, and here you are. You're coming back. And here comes Janice. She's back in the room. Say hi to Janice, everybody.
Right, and there I was thinking you froze, and I'm going to carry on the show without you.
All right, so we're back here now, okay? Clearwater Chad's in the house. Thank you so much, Clearwater Chad. All right, Janice, so now that you're back here, I'm going to show this one slide here that we've got. Every Friday night, we go out to dinner as a group here in Las Vegas, ex-Scientology and Sea Org members. And there you can see Janice on the left. That's me in the middle holding the welcome sign. I'm just your average bear. And then we've got Tom Provenzano on the right, who used to be a Sea Org member and was at Golden Era Productions and in Clearwater, and then his girlfriend, Sita. And we went to Famous Dave's barbecue last night, and I took that picture. And I think I look pretty good as a bear. What do you think, Janice?
Yeah, being a bear suits you.
Okay, and then I got another picture here. Here's my dog, Misha, okay? We had a video of Janice's dogs, Rocky and Moose, but we couldn't upload it. The file was too big and it wouldn't stream. But anyway, I took this picture this morning. We went to the park and we were walking around, and she was laying on the grass because it's nice and cool. It gets warm here in Las Vegas. Actually, hasn't been too hot yet. We haven't even hit 100 degrees, which is normal. It'll be coming up soon. But anyway, that's her, and that's her real color. She's a reddish brown colored husky, and I'd never seen a reddish brown colored husky. I always thought they were gray and black and all that sort of thing. But anyway, so that's my Misha right there. And hold on, somehow I did that by mistake. And yeah, she's got kind of yellowish eyes. So she's a beautiful girl. And you know Misha, right, Janice?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's a good girl.
All right, so that's our fur baby for the day. All right. All right, Janice. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We've got a new feature here. If you go through and just star any questions and stuff, okay? And we've got a new feature we're going to run here because there's a lot of silly, crazy stories about Scientology that I'm sure you all have heard. We've got 134 people in here, and we're really thankful for that. Please come on in, put any questions in there. But here's our debut, all right, of our silly Scientology story, okay? And this silly Scientology story I'm going to tell you about, this happened when we were in the Sea Org back around 1986, 87, okay? And it was at the Gold Base in Gillham Hot Springs. And here's a picture of L. Ron Hubbard, and he's got headphones on. This was taken earlier, I think, when he was on the Apollo.
Yeah, it was taken in Tenerife.
Yeah, and I just wanted to put that in here because this has to do with music, okay? We built a music studio at Golden Era Productions so that it was a state-of-the-art music studio. And it was so that L. Ron Hubbard, when he came back, if he got an all clear, he and the Golden musicians and any celebrities, they could, do full musical recordings, okay? So the next slide here, L. Ron Hubbard wrote Mission Earth, which is a 10-volume science fiction series, and it came out in the one by one in the mid 80s, and there was music that he wrote for it. There were songs that he wrote that went along with the different characters, and the idea was to get a rock musician, because it was going to be rock music, to arrange and produce the songs. L. Ron Hubbard, like I said in another video, he actually took a dictaphone and he would actually play on a little keyboard the way he wanted the melody to go. And then he would write the lyrics for each of the songs, okay? Anyway, so Author Services recruited Edgar Winter. Edgar Winter was a famous rock star in the early 70s, his brother Johnny Winter and Edgar Winter. If anybody doesn't know, because a lot of you are a lot younger than we are, But Edgar Winter was famous for the song Frankenstein, which was an instrumental song, and it went dun 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 dun. Or he also had a song called Free Ride. He was like, come on and take a free ride. Yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, he also was a tremendous saxophone player, and that's why I've got a picture of him there playing saxophone. Well, he and his wife Monique got into Scientology right around that time, and they'd done the purification rundown and some basic services. And so he was recruited to arrange and record the songs for Mission Earth. And this is a picture of Edgar and his wife Monique. And I actually was in charge of taking care of them. They were up at the Gold Base for about 5-6 months, and they lived in one of the motel units that we had, and they couldn't have been nicer. And Edgar, as far as I'm concerned, he was really an underrated talent. He could play a saxophone like nobody I'd ever heard before. Great singer, great arranger. Anyway, so we were going to do the Mission Earth album, and he was the one who was brought up there to do it. This is the outside of the Gold studio that was built. It's a multi-million-dollar studio, okay? And then Author Services also then recruited, they wanted to get a big-time producer to produce the album, okay? So they reached out to this gentleman here, and his name was Bruce Swedian, and he was a music engineer and producer, famous for being the engineer with, he worked with Quincy Jones, who produced, and Bruce was the engineer on Michael Jackson's Thriller album, which sold 30 million copies, and also Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album, and many others. He was a world-renowned music engineer and producer. Well, they recruited him to come out and actually produce Edgar Winter on Mission Earth. He had heard some of the demo tapes that they'd done, and he really liked it. So he and his wife came out to the Golden Era base in order to start the production. So when they came out to the base, the next day they were going to start producing the first song. Oh my God, what's that smell? What's that smell? Well, there was an advice from L. Ron Hubbard. He didn't want any perfume in any of his spaces, any smells, any perfume or anything like that. And there was a messenger named Janet Ayre Swanson, and she was overseeing the household unit for L. Ron Hubbard. He wasn't even there, okay? But anyway, she smelled perfume on the wife of Bruce Swedian. And she was too chicken to go up and tell the wife that you can't wear perfume in there. So she made a Gold staff member, her name was Mary Mauser, she was the musician's manager, go up to Mrs. Swedian and tell her, I'm sorry, you can't wear perfume in here. We don't allow anything that smells. Well, Mrs. Swedian was so outraged that she went outside and took her husband out to talk to him. And they literally didn't even turn around. They headed for their car and they left the base and they drove off. They were so offended by the fact that his wife was being asked, you can't wear perfume in here, okay? And this became a big, big flap. And everybody, flap is, you know, something that was unexpected and was blowing up. David Miscavige and Author Services and everybody had to go to Los Angeles. And Bruce Swedian was never recovered. He wouldn't come back. He thought we were crazy. He thought everything was crazy about it, right? So anyway, the Gold musicians had to go down to LA, and Edgar and Monique were so upset they left the base, and they ended up down at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and they were recovered basically, you know, everybody came up and said, we're sorry that that happened. And he was given a gift of a Yamaha DX7 synthesizer, and everything was good. But we never got Bruce Swedian back because of the smell. So, wow, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous story about Scientology, something that happened. Didn't deserve a full video, but I wanted to tell that story. And that brings us, that's the Mission Earth album that came out from Edgar Winter. They later did produce it and put it out. It wasn't a hit or anything like that, but that's the cover of the album. And that brings us to our question. What's the reason for no perfume around L. Ron Hubbard, Janice?
Yeah, well, on the ship, he did not like perfume, especially rose perfume, and no one was allowed to wear anything perfumed. He would go into fits. He had allergies and hated the smell of perfume, but one person on the ship always wore perfume. She must have just sprayed it on and shook it on. And that
Let me guess, Mary Sue?
No, Diana. His oldest
daughter, Diana, huh?
Yeah. And she would come up and you could smell her 7, 8 feet away as that perfume just stayed behind her as she walked forward. And he never said a word about her perfume. Never. But everybody else was not allowed any perfume. And it got so bad, we even had to re-rinse all his shirts because he thought they smelled of perfume. And though they were using coconut soap or natural soap with nothing, no smells, he was still smelling stuff and no one else could smell it. And you're talking, here's a man who chain smoked practically.
Yeah, chain smoked, unfiltered cool. So you can imagine
Unfiltered.
how smelly he was.
Right. You could smell the cigarette smoke, but they actually did pretty good with these office. We kept the windows open and the blowers going to blow the cigarette smoke out. But we used to have to, his stewards would get in trouble for the smell in his shirts, that the messengers have to get involved and we'd have to rinse his shirts over and over and over to like the point of 20 times rinsed. Would just fill up the bathtub and rinse his shirts because there was no, there was no washing machine. It was everything was hand washed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just outrageous. And you'd get to the point where you would lie just to make up some reason for him to accept. And I remember doing that when we were in La Quinta. He smelt tar. And
Tar, you said tar, T-A-R.
T-A-R. Yeah, we were at Rifle at the time. And I was gone looking for the smell of tar. And I couldn't find it. And then finally, I smelt a lamp post. And I went inside to him. I said, I found the tar smell. It's on all the lampposts outside. And so that then handled it. But before that, it was just, I was going nuts. Where could the smell be coming from? And he couldn't do anything about it. So,
the other thing too about it, around that time in the mid 80s, Hubbard was writing advices and dispatches about, like you mentioned, rose perfume, about how society was using rose perfume in everything, including magazines. Like, I don't know if you remember, you'd open up a magazine and they would have little strips of perfume that they were going to sell in the magazines. And he said in the dispatches that rose perfume was meant to, I don't know, interbulate you or get you, it was going to mess with your case or something like that. So he was really big on that. But to say that, right, Janitor Swanson, she had no guts, to go and tell, these big celebrities that you couldn't wear perfume. So she sent Mary Mauser in there to do that. And Mary Mauser got in trouble for it. And it was a big blow up, right? And it was so stupid because it really didn't matter. But they blew their big chance to have the guy who engineered the album for Michael Jackson's Thriller, who was going to make it into a big hit, and then it ended up being a nothing. And that's the usual Scientology foot bullet where they shoot themselves in the foot because of L. Ron Hubbard's stupid advices. Okay.
Yeah.
And you wanted to comment about Mission Earth, right?
Oh, well, yeah. Though at the time I was reading, I had to say how great it was, but I was actually in my own head embarrassed by it. I mean, having worked with Hubbard for so many years, reading those books was like seeing a whole different side of him I'd never even knew existed. And I was grossed out by those books. I'm like, here's the man who is leading a religion and we're supposed to be clearing earth, and he's writing this filth. And I'm like, I can't say this. I'd get in trouble if I voiced it. So I just kept it to myself until this special moment.
Yeah, I remember we actually read it in galley form, which is before a book is printed. It was, they had copies of it, almost like Xerox copies. And David Miscavige was reading it, and he passed it on to me, and I was reading it. And he goes, "Can you believe what's in this book?" I mean, everybody was really shocked and stunned because it's very racy. The whole story is very racy. And the details were very racer. And the thing I remember most, I'll never forget, was a cheese grater and Tabasco sauce. And I'll leave it at that because it was really, really crazy, the whole thing. Anyway, so that was the story about Mission Earth, the smells, and Edgar Winter. And wow, that's ridiculous. And we'll try and have other stories like that too, because there's lots of things that are pretty ridiculous
Yeah.
in here. We're up to 190 viewers in here, everybody. We want to welcome you if you just joined us. We're going to go to questions here in just a minute. And so if you have a questions, put it in the chat. If you want to super chat us, we would really appreciate it. And we're going to answer everybody's questions. And also I wanted to welcome in, I've got Mr. Theta Potato. It's a shout out to Marilyn. And Janice has got her Theta Potato, and we love Mr. Theta Potato, Marilyn. And we want to thank you for that. You sent it to us a couple of weeks ago. And he's kind of like an additional co-host to our channel. So we want to say thank you for that. All right, Janice, do you have anything else before we go to questions?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Yeah, we're going to do a giveaway in about 10 minutes, the first giveaway, and then we'll give the second giveaway at about an hour. The final giveaway is going to be an autographed copy of Janice's book, Commoner's Messenger. So you want to stick around for that. And, we're going to give that away to some lucky winner here. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the first ones here. And this is from Colonel Brock. I love Janis and Mark. Well, Colonel Brock, we have to say that we love you too. You're here every week, and we appreciate your dedication for being here. So thank you very much, Colonel Brock. Next question I've got here is questions. Were you scared leaving, and how long did it take to stop thinking in terms of Church of Scientology mindset? This is from Lovett. Go ahead, Janice.
I still sometimes find myself thinking with Scientology mindset, even though I've been gone 33 years. I mean, I grew up in it. I was born into it. So maybe that's my excuse. But yeah, that's why it's all part of peeling the onion, just trying to get away from it. But the initial thing, I think, took maybe 4 years because I was surrounded with ex-Scientologists. And so we still continued to talk in it. And I've still been surrounded by ex-Scientologists. So that kind of keeps it alive, some of that thinking. And yeah, I was scared to leave because I'd not really been out in the real world. There I say I was 34 years old, barefoot and pregnant when I left. And yeah, I didn't know what I was going into. All I'd heard while I was on the inside that there's just druggies out there. There's murderers. You got the Hells Angels, who are a rough gang. And, you hear all these different things. And when you come out, it's like, oh my God, these are nice people. They care about each other. Or, oh, they natter about their bosses. Different things like that, which in Scientology, you could not do that. So right. It took a while to slowly, and even I had Paul, who I'd say things and he's like, Janice, we're out in the real world. You don't do things like that, and he'd have to pull me back. So that's my answer.
Well, for me, by the way, John Poe is in here. Thanks very much for being here, Poe on the go. We're up over 200 viewers right now. Love it. Was I scared leaving? Absolutely, I was scared leaving because I thought I was out there by myself. I was hoping that I would connect up with Janice and Paul and Terry and Fernando and the other people, but I literally had nowhere to go. And for the first 10 days to 2 weeks, I was just kind of like happy to be out and away. I went to Hawaii for 10 days. I had some money, so I went just to sort of recharge my battery. But I'll never forget flying back from Hawaii to San Diego. I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? I had no idea. And that was a scary thought. What am I going to do now? And lo and behold, Janice called on the phone and everything turned around at that point. But yeah, in terms of the Scientology mindset, yeah, I kept it for quite some time. Like Janice said, you kind of meld into the real world in terms of dealing with people. I treated some people the way I would treat them in the Sea Organization, and that didn't go well. And it's almost like touching the stove and burning your hand. And you learn really fast that that's not the way you treat people, and that's not the way things go. But what I really realized was, like Janice said, out here in the quote unquote real world, people were nice. I got along with people. I made friends. I made friends in another. I was interested in what they were doing, and I had people that they wanted to help me, and they wanted to be my friends, and so that made it a lot easier for me. And that's my answer to that question right now. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Thank you, love it, appreciate it. Colonel Brock, I love hearing about the old days, even up to 1980. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive comments on our stories, our interviews, like with Ken Urquhart from back in the St. Hill and Apollo days. If you haven't seen those videos, go to our channel and click on them. I've actually organized up, I got smart after, 5 weeks, and actually made playlists of the different videos so that, like, if you want to watch Ken Urquhart's interview, you can watch part 1 and then part 2. They're all there together. Same thing with the interviews and Janis's stories about the messengers. So it's a lot easier to find them and watch them. But there's some great historical information on there. There's never before seen photographs in there, and it's really great if you want to go back and watch them. And we have a new one coming out, right, Janis? Ken, we're going to be doing part 3. We actually already recorded. It's coming out this week, right, Janis?
Yes, it is. That's about the RPF, the Rehabilitation Project Force.
Yeah, you're going to want to hear this one. Yeah, you're going to hear. Go ahead.
Yeah, this one's going to tell you how it all started.
Yeah, how it started, what the intention was, what happened, and also Ken talks about any regrets that he has, and it's a whole full hour about the Rehabilitation Project Force. So you're going to want to see that. That video will probably come out Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and we hope that you enjoy that one too. Okay. All right, we'll go to the next one here. Love it. Question: what has been the hardest Church of Scientology way of thinking to shake, and what was it, if not too personal? Thank you.
Mark, you take that first while I think about it.
Okay. What was the hardest way of thinking to shake?
Judgment. Being judgmental. I'll tell you, Scientology is so judgmental, and I'm being judgmental of them right now.
Yeah.
But I was actually surprised when I came out. I would have these judgmental thoughts about different people. And I made a comment once to someone. She said, you're judgmental. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah. And then I started realizing, growing up in Scientology, you're so judgmental. And this person's PTS, potential trouble source. This person's an SP, a suppressive person, and everybody's got a label for something. And that really kind of hit me to the point where I was like, I'd have to correct myself to stop being judgmental when I came out and just take someone for who they are.
Well, I'll tell you what I thought of. It took me, I had to think about it. That's a really good, deep question. Love it. I really appreciate it. You know what I've just thought, what I thought of in terms of the hardest thing to shake was when I left, I was a dedicated Scientologist, and I believed that, we were here to save mankind. And what was hard for me to shake was I felt like when I left, I felt like I had the answers to life, and all the people I was running to out here, they didn't really know what was, how to save mankind, or how to, about their eternity or anything like that. And so I was so certain about that. And little bit by little, peeling the onion, I got to realize that, nobody has the complete truth about anything, because if they did, everybody be doing it. And I'll tell you what I remember was, we left in 1990, and the personal computer was just starting to take off. And then I'll never forget, I was down in Texas in 1992, and Houston, Texas is like the 4th largest city in the United States. It's humongous. And I went and I saw they had this little Dianetics mission in this huge city. And I thought, man, they're not clearing the planet. Nothing's going on here. And I thought, you know what? Microsoft comes out with their software, and 90-something% of the planet uses it. Okay. Well, Scientology had all the answers. 90-something% of the planet would be using it too. So that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that we didn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. Love it. I'll go on to the next one here. Colonel Brock, question: do you see a big wave in anti-Scientology sentiment going on with new YouTube channels, people seeing Leah's show, Masterson, etc.? Go ahead, Janet.
Yeah, I do see a new wave. There's a lot of people are hearing about it, but it's not in a good way. And I'm actually surprised that they're getting any recruits, but I guess those are mostly second or third geners that are joining the Sea Org and not people from the regular world, because I don't see people in that world feeling that Scientology is something that will help them.
Yeah. You know, we came out in 1990, right? And the internet was just beginning. And I'll never forget my friend, Robert Von Young,
Yeah.
who was a former Sea Org member and was one of the first OG, old guard, original gangster people who spoke out against Scientology. He said that the internet was going to be Scientology's Waterloo, because once the secrets got out on the internet, like the OT levels, he said it was done. It was done for. They could never put the genie back in the bottle. And that kind of kept a lot of people attached to Scientology, because you didn't know what was on the confidential levels. And as soon as you found out what there was there, you know, you're not getting new people recruiting them in saying that they've got, you know, OT3 phenomena going on or anything like that. And that was the beginning of it. And then it's just kind of snowballed. And Miscavige has completely driven Scientology into a donation, just a money grubbing organization. That's all they do is just raise money. They don't deliver any Scientology services. They don't help anybody. And it's just a big money scam right now.
We used to have to push delivery because it was always believed that the income would follow delivery. So you push delivery and get people in for their services, and then the income would come. That's how I always managed.
And that's what Hubbard believed. I mean, he wanted to make money for the organization, but he looked at that value of services delivered, meaning how much was actually delivered that week and how much was undelivered services, because he knew that was a potential problem. If they weren't delivering services, people could eventually want to get refunds because they weren't getting the gains and weren't getting the services they want. So he had that attention on that, and he believed in what he was doing. You know, I'm still reading Barefaced Messiah right now, and a lot of crazy stories about L. Ron Hubbard, but I will say this: he believed in what he was doing, you know, and a lot of people got involved in it. You know, whether or not people call it a scam or whatever, they believed in some of the things he was doing because, you know, a lot of us stayed there for a long time. But anyway, yeah, it's now turned into a complete money-making organization, and it's gonna eat itself up.
Yeah, I know that both my parents were very strong believers. From the 1950s up until the point both of them died, they were still believers in it. They felt it helped them, and they used it to help other people. A lot of people considered my mother the perfect example of what a real Scientologist should be.
Yeah, and that was what our purpose was. I mean, deep down inside, we joined and got involved because we wanted to help other people. That's it. We weren't there, oh my God, how much money can I make? We weren't there for money.
No. No, if there wasn't money, then you better deliver to make some money.
That's right. Thanks for the question, Colonel Brock. We'll go to the next one. Love it. Another question. After leaving, did you feel you must admit to every single withhold, even as far as even if it was a private thought? Was that difficult? In other words, Janice, did you feel like anytime you did something wrong, you had to admit it to people in the real world?
I don't do things wrong. No. No, I would, how would I answer that? You know what? I would actually have second thought. If I was going to do something wrong, I would think about it before I did it and then go, no, I'm not going to do that, because I knew it was wrong.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, if I did something that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, you knew you were getting away from it. Now you weren't going to have to admit it. I mean, in a way, you knew that it was going to come up if you still were in Scientology, but not that I did a lot of things wrong, but everybody does something that they're not proud of and that type of thing. So anyway, okay. Thank you for your question. Love it. We'll go to the next one here. Colonel Brock again. Question: did the bull baiting sessions help you stay in present time and confront to this day when confronted with hostility? Yeah, I mean, look, one of the basic things you learn in Scientology is the communications course, where you do the training routines, and I find myself still following them to this day. It bothers me if I ask somebody something and they don't respond. and then I have to ask it again, and then they don't respond. Okay. Or I tell somebody something and they don't acknowledge it. I don't know if they heard it. Hey, did you hear that? So I still follow those things. And as far as confront goes, I've been confronted with people yelling at me and getting upset and all that. But I just try and, like you said, use my confront and stay in present time. How about you, Janice?
Yeah, same thing. I do. Yeah, you just got to confront things and take it head on. And I would say that doing bull baiting or a lot of what I grew up with helps me today step out of my comfort zone. And I push myself for that.
Yeah.
I don't have to have someone else push me. I have my own drive. And I do believe that's from the way I was raised.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for the question, Colonel Brock. Next question here. Again, love it. Given the knowledge report culture of Church of Scientology, was it hard trusting non-Church of Scientology people?
You mean like paid friends?
No, I trusted people. We had spies sent in on us. I was very naive because one of the problems that you have when you feel safe when you were in Scientology because you knew that people would not lie to you. Okay. If they did lie to you, they'd be in big trouble and it would be found out. Right. So I accepted a lot of people when I first left at face value, and I got burned financially and otherwise several times. And it was just my naivete in terms of dealing with people in the real world. So that was a problem for me when I first left. How about you, Janice?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I trusted people. I didn't see how anyone could kind of stab you in the back.
Yeah.
Because with people I worked with, we were all honest. You did something wrong, you admitted to it. You didn't normally throw people under the bus or do something that would disrupt their life. But we went through that with PIs. And we will actually, Mark, we should do a whole thing on the PIs. We've got
Yeah.
photographs of them. We can do a
Private
whole thing on
investigators.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
private investigators or paid friends. And yeah, we'll do a whole story on that. But we were trusting when we left. And then you kind of learn to be suspicious now of, people showing up at your door and suddenly they're friends.
Yeah. The other thing too that I had to get used to as well, I've worked at companies where there are people actively trying to undermine you at your job. You know what I mean? Or, they were covert hostility towards you and you thought that they were, working for you. And that's hard you got to confront that. And, that wouldn't be put up with when I was in Scientology. And there was a lot of times where, you'd end up getting burned by people like that.
Well, I used to, even when I had my mortgage company, I had clients show up and try and get me to commit fraud.
Yeah.
And one for one, because I'd always ask my clients how'd they hear about me. One for one, those wanting me to commit fraud found me on the internet. Well, the interesting thing is I never advertised on the internet, so there was no way you could find me on the internet. So those people I knew had obviously been sent in to try and get me to commit fraud so I could get busted.
Yep. Okay, Janice, we're at 38 minutes, so we forgot we're going to do a giveaway here now, all right?
Okay.
So you want to show everybody what we're going to give away the first time. You want to get in the chat here in a second here and just say me, or whatever it is you want to say. Go ahead.
This is a canvas bag with both my books printed on either side of it. So you can take it to the store and not pay you 10 cents in California for grocery bags. You could just use this instead.
So that's the first giveaway, people. So everybody get in the chat, and we're going to randomly pick somebody here in a minute here. Okay, go ahead and get in here. It's on a little bit of a delay, and then I'm going to count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that type of thing, and then I'm just going to randomly pick somebody, and then Janice will send it to you. Janice, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can email me at janicegilhamgrady@gmail.com.
And we'll repeat that here in just a second. So go ahead, everybody, fill up the chat. Bag me. Okay. So we're going to go. All right. I'm going to count down. I'm not going to look. It's going to be 5.
Yeah. A lot of bag me's
4,
here.
3, 2, 1. Debbie J, me. Debbie J, you
Okay.
won a bag, okay? And like Janice said, if you just email her at Janice Gillham Grady. Go ahead. What was it again? Janice Gillham Grady at
Janice
email.
Gillham Grady at gmail.com.
With
Gillham
your,
has 2 L's and an H, not an
yeah.
I. It's Gillham.
Here,
Janice
I'll put it
Gillham
on.
Grady.
I'll put it on right here so that everybody,
Okay.
because we're going to be giving it away here. 1 second here. Janice Gillham Brady at gmail.com. I hope this works. We'll see. Okay, here we go. Is that right, Janice?
Yes.
Okay. So Debbie, just send an email with your address, and Janice will send that out to you at Janice Gillham Grady at gmail.com. And also, we're going to do another giveaway here in about another 30 minutes of an autographed copy of Janice's book, Commodore's Messenger. Okay, Janice has got it. There it is right there, and she'll autograph it personally to you. And that we're going to give that away here in about 30 minutes. Okay. So thank you so much for that, Janice, and thank you for that giveaway, and congratulations, Debbie. And we're going to go back to the questions. If you've got any questions, go ahead and load them up. Put question in front of it so it's easy for everybody, for us to spot them, and so we don't miss you. And if you want to super chat us, please do. We really appreciate the donations. It helps us. We put a lot of time into doing these videos, coming up with the photographs and all that. Janice and I talk about them. What are we going to show and all that sort of stuff. But we're not doing it to make money, but it actually helps us, get more equipment. Actually, there's some other software that I'm going to be getting, things like that. So if you want to super chat us or super sticker us, please go right ahead. Here's our next question. We did that one. Sorry about that. Next one here. Okay, Colonel Brock, question. Do you think a class action lawsuit is possible against Church Scientology? No, I don't. You basically, you'd have to get everybody together, and I'm not really a legal expert on it, but I think any kind of lawsuits against them unless you have a specific complaint, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, you're just throwing good money after bad. It's not worth fighting them in the courts. You got to fight them like we're doing right now, exposing it so that people know the truth of what is going on or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
For the lawsuits, you're just making money for the attorneys.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we got a super chat. Cassie Isaac, thank you so much for the super chat. Janice, Cassie's the one that bought your Calm, and she said it's helping her in our last chat about sleep at night. So that's Cassie Isaac. Thank you so much. Do you guys still have to question whether new people in your life have something to do with Scientology? I look for the telltale signs. When I get somebody new in my life, you could pretty much tell that when they become overly interested in you, that's a red flag. How about you, Janice?
Yeah, the same thing where, they become overly interested. That's a red flag. Or they buy a horse so that they can go horse riding with you. And
or they tag along everywhere.
Well, and they never ask you any questions about your past.
Yeah.
Because they already know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I've gotten to the point now where, plus I gotten to the point now, I could care less. I mean, we're doing this channel. I'm just telling the stories. I'm telling the truth. We're not doing anything, we're an open book right now. Anyway, thanks very much for that super chat. Okay, John Satowski, thank you so much for the super chat. Is Janice using a new microphone? Janice, you want to answer that?
No, I'm not.
But you have one. You have one.
I have one, but Paul used to be my computer man, and he's not here anymore. So Mark's going to come over this weekend, I think, and try and set it up for me, because I have failed miserably. I get feedback. I get nothing. So he's going to try and fix it for me.
Yeah, we don't live super close together. We're not far, but I've got to go up there and do that. And there's other things that I'm doing, and Janice is always busy too. So we'll get around to it and we'll get it done. Again, John, thank you so much for that super sticker, super chat. And we will go to the next one here. Tiffany Washington, question: how did Cleveland, Ohio drink the Kool-Aid? Do they have an organization in Cleveland, Ohio? I don't know. Janice,
I
do
don't
you?
know.
Tiffany, we're not
Me?
sure. I don't ever remember an org in Cleveland, Ohio. They were in Columbus, Ohio. That's where Paul, that's where your husband got in Scientology, right?
Yeah. And then there's Cincinnati where Jeannie Bogvat, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Tiffany, thanks so much for your question. Next one here, Jim Jenkins. Question, Janice, first, you're spectacular.
Thank
Wondering if
you.
you remember the moment when you realized things might be changing for the worse in Scientology. What was the game changer for you?
Yeah, it was when I was the deputy WTC chairman. So I was the second in command of all international management, the deputy chairman of Watchdog Committee. And Miscavige has my boss, the chairman, trying to convince me to give up that job to become the Watchdog Committee member for the Flag Service Org. And I fought that, and the insistence on it, finally, I ended up accepting it. But it was like, wait, this is a personnel psychosis that you're taking one of your top people and moving them down to cover one sector rather than all the sectors. When you have, and there was an international affluence going, and that's when I was like, wait a minute, things are not going the way they should be going. There's psychosis coming in from the side. And then when the flood happened, that kind of started hitting me, and I started thinking different things. And then they escorted me. I was the commanding officer of the Free Winds, so I was over the captain and the service org covering temporarily, and they escorted me back because my husband was in trouble. And just those little things happening started triggering it for me. And for a while, I kept staying because I helped so many people. I was like, if I leave, who would protect the staff? And then finally, it was like, I can't take it anymore. And I was pregnant. And I was like, that's it. I'm not going to get pulled into ethics and have them gang up on me to get an abortion. I'm out of here. So
Yep.
there's your answer.
Great. Thanks very much, Jim. And he says you're spectacular, and I agree, Janice.
Thank you.
Okay. Next question, Tassie Devil. Please get Janice mic done soon. The audio fluctuations are difficult. You should be able to speak in normal voices. Yeah, and then somebody else wrote, Janice, just a few minutes ago that your mic is fine. So, yeah, we'll get that taken care of, Tassie. We appreciate
But,
that.
I do have a habit of when I'm on electronic stuff, I do kind of yell or raise my voice.
Yeah.
And that's probably part of it. And because my kids used to always tell me, Mom, stop yelling in the phone.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Next question here. Mer P. Question. Do you think LRH would approve of all the chiropractors in Scientology now? Your book said it was considered mixed practices.
Yeah, it was considered mixed practices. And because one should be able to, through a touch assist or auditing, themselves put their back into place. And he did not support chiropractors. But I do remember hearing he had a chiropractor come and do an adjustment on him. And I was like, wait a minute, I grew up hearing chiropractors a mixed practice. So.
Well, and then up at the in base at Gillham Hot Springs, after L. Ron Hubbard died, David Miscavige, after he took over Religious Technology Center, somebody arranged for a Scientology chiropractor. His name was Dr. Stephen Price. He came up every Saturday when we had renovations going on and the whole base was working on landscaping and grounds and buildings and all that. Miscavige and his other senior executives like Mark Yeager and Ray Midoff and all that, they didn't do renovations. They had too much other work to do. But anyway, they would take turns one by one going down to the Star, California, to get an adjustment by Stephen Price. And I actually got offered to do it, and I got a few adjustments. And you know what? I didn't consider it mixed practices now because I've had tremendous relief from chiropractors. I think they're, they do a wonderful job. And anyway, that's my story.
Mark, I want to correct you on a statement back there that they had too many other things they had to do.
Well, I mean, too many other things they had to do.
They just goofed off.
Yeah.
While everyone else was on Renos, they goofed off.
Yeah, I meant, yeah, too many other things. You know what I mean? With quotation marks.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Murphy. Next question here. Life in Sync question. Oh, interesting. Wanted to ask you about music stories. What was Ron's favorite music, and what about you both? What kind of music did LRH like to listen to? Janice?
On the ship, he used to listen to, he used to just listen to classical music, and he'd just have that quietly playing in the background. Would put records on, the old 75s, 33s. We'd put on the big records, the 33.5s, and he'd just listen to that or his cassettes, background, elevator music. And then when he started working with the musicians on the ship, he subscribed to Billboard's Top 100s, and he got every one of the Top 100 records. And every time it changed, that new record would come in, and we would play them in the back behind his desk. He had a record player, and we would put them on, and we would dance away to Elton John and the Rolling Stones and so forth, while his back was to us.
Well, I'll tell a funny story. My wife, Julie, she was on the ship with you, right? And Elton John was her favorite because apparently, and Greg Wilher used to say the same thing, apparently all you guys could get was Elton John cassette tapes, and you guys would just wear them out, right? I mean, you're at ship at sea. It's hard to get music, but you guys would just listen to it over and over again, is what she told me.
Well, yeah, because if you put on the radio, it was all in Portuguese, Spanish, or Arabic. Along with the different musics from those countries. So someone would come from America, and it's like they'd bring the latest cassette or record with them. And so we would listen to those. We wouldn't listen to the radio.
My favorite music, my two favorite eras of music are the late 60s with Motown and the late 60s pop, the Beatles. And then the 1980s is my favorite decade. I love the music of the 1980s, Duran Duran and the Police and all that sort of stuff. And what I listen to now, believe it or not, I listen to a lot of Hawaiian music, and I listen to a lot of acoustic guitar because it's just very, very soothing. And when I listen to Hawaiian music, well, like if I'm on the computer or whatever, it just takes my mind off what I'm doing and just lets me relax. Janice, what kind of music do you like?
I just listened to Paul's playlist that he left behind.
You like country too, right?
Well, I do like country. I play country in my car, and then in the house for the dogs so they don't bark at everything, I just put Paul's playlist on in the background.
and that's basically classic rock, right?
Yeah.
It's like classic rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks that was a good question, Life in Sync. Thank you so much. All right. Marilyn Honig. Hi, Marilyn. We got our Theta Potatoes here. Thank you so much. You are such an awesome person. We really appreciate it. She says, so that's why OSA smells like poo, meaning what's that smell? Thanks, Marilyn. We go to the next question here. Calico 26, thanks for the super chat. Do you think that Ron loved his wife and kids? Janice?
Yes, I do. I do believe that. In his own way. Mary Sue was very close to him until the whole FBI raid. But before that, they were together. When he was in D.C., they wrote every day. And even when she was in L.A. going through her trial, they still wrote every day. Back and forth, though the letters might be a 3-day delay in answering. The letter would come in every day and he would answer it, and they stayed in close communication. And she was always there to support him.
How about the kids, Janice? Because I never was around him with the kids. I mean, when he was alive and they were alive at the base, I didn't see any interaction like letters and stuff between him and his kids. I mean, what was it like with his kids?
He wasn't close with the kids, but they were his kids, and he would have birthdays with them, special occasions with them. They could write him if they wanted to. They didn't usually originate it, and he didn't originate it either unless something came up. But he did look out over them, but he didn't treat them like most people would treat their kids.
And to be fair, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he didn't check on their homework. He didn't check on how school was going, even when it was a private tutor.
I was going to say, to be fair, again, I'm reading Barefaced Messiah again by Russell Miller again, right? He was a deadbeat dad to his first two kids. He walked out on his first wife and his kids for 10 years. He didn't pay them any child support or anything like that. Okay. And then with his second wife, he had a daughter, Alexis, who he later disowned and said it wasn't his daughter. So he was not a virtuous person when it comes to dealing with his family and dealing with children. Now, he may have made a change from what I'm gathering from reading the book, and I wasn't around Mary Sue and Ron, is that when he got with Mary Sue, things changed quite a bit. I'm just trying to fill in the history from before. Any comment on that, Janice?
No, I agree with what you're saying. Well, as I said, he didn't go out of his way to see his kids.
Yeah.
But when they were there, and it took the household unit setting up dinners with the children. It wasn't his origination.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the question, Calico 26. That was a good one. Marilyn is here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Marilyn. Hi, Mark and Janice. Much love to you both. Question: other than Diana's perfume, did LRH grant his children or favorite people other exceptions or privileges? Janice?
Well, if you wanted an exception or a privilege, you would write that in a daily report that went through the messengers, or like me, I was told I couldn't. When I had a dog in La Quinta, and when we moved to Hemet, to Gillham Hot Springs, I was told I couldn't bring it because she was pregnant, and that no one is going to have dogs. Well, I then went to Hubbard myself, and he knew the dog because she used to take walks with him. So yeah, I got that special privilege because I went to him directly, and to get my dog and tell him that she was pregnant, and he would tell me what to do with the puppies. And, so yes, there is a way to get exception and privileges.
Yeah. Okay, Marilyn, thank you so much for that question. Next question. Joel McCoyne, one of our winners of the book. Janice, I know last week I saw he's halfway through your book and he really is enjoying it. Question, well, maybe more of a comment. Janice, I got the book. It is great. My wife read it first and I'm reading it now. Great job. Very well written.
You can't beat that for a sixth grader.
What'd you say? You can't beat what?
My highest school level was sixth grade.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I joined the Sea Org at 11 years old. Well, I just started seventh grade or Form 1. I did like 3 months of that. So
well, here's the book.
I appreciate the compliment on my writing.
Well, here's the book, the first book, Commerce Messenger, Book 1, A Child Adrift, the Scientology Sea Organization. And you can order that from Amazon.com. We have a link in the description on our YouTube page. But you can just go to Amazon.com. Both Book 1 and Book 2 are available on Amazon.com. Isn't that right, Janice?
Yes. Yep. Amazon.com. Just put in my name or put in Commodore's Messenger and it comes up.
And this is Book 2. And that's Riding Out the Storms with L. Ron Hubbard. Okay. Yeah, they're great books. You definitely should read them if you really, really are interested in the history. There's great stories in much more detail. And there are photographs in the books. Janice wanted to point that out as well. Thank you so much, Joel, for that question. And we're glad you're enjoying the book. We'll go to the next question here. And this is from David Fenwick. Tell us about Otto Roos on the ship. We had that. Ken Urquhart told stories about him in part 2 of his interview at the very end, right, Janice?
Yeah, he did, but there's many more stories, and yeah. I'll put together a bunch of photos on Otto, and we'll do a whole thing in memory of Otto.
But in the meantime, you can watch, if you haven't already, part 2 of our interview with Ken Urquhart. It's actually at the very end of the interview, or that 1-hour interview, where he talks about Otto Roos quite a bit. So Thanks very much for the question. Next question here, Roxy. Scientologists' behavior among normal people always gets pointed out as wacky, crazy, bullying, face, red, droopy eyes. Yes, it does. But you can see we're just big bundles of love. I mean, you know, come on. We're huggables over here. You know what I mean?
But no, this is when people get their TRs in and their intention and they want something. It's like,
yeah.
And you don't realize that you're just overbearing people.
Yeah. Okay, we're at an hour here. We're going to do the giveaway in 10 more minutes. Okay, people. We're at 294 people. We only need 6 more people. Have your friends get on here. We'll be over 300 watching right now. And we'll go to the next question here. Justin Craig, a.k.a. LRH 2.0. Do you still talk to Jesse Prince? How is he doing? Janice?
I haven't talked to him in a bit, but Jesse, last time I checked, was doing totally fine. I actually tried to call him the other day, left a message, so I should be hearing back from him. But I'm on good terms with Jesse. He's been a longtime friend, and I have nothing bad to say about him. It's all been good. We've been good friends.
Yeah, and Jesse actually was my roommate for up until like 3 years ago. He was my roommate here for 2 years here in my condo here in Las Vegas. We lived together. I have a 2-bedroom condo. He lived in one room and I was in the other room. And Jesse and I go way back as well. And yeah, we wish him nothing but the best. Okay. Thank you for that question. Next question here. Heather Hendricks, question. What do you think will be the end result with Shelley Miscavige? Escape? Staged appearance with David? Janice?
Staged appearance with David.
I think video. I think eventually, you know, they'll do some one of those POW videos or something like that. Some kind of proof of life, or she'll be at an event finally and show her face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think he's got her hidden for so long that it's just, you know.
Yeah, and at her age, she's not going to know what to do if she came out, or, well, she'd have 50% of his money, so she could definitely support herself if she divorced him and split.
Well, that's the other reason why he doesn't want to divorce her, because in California it's half and half, you know. And
exactly.
He's got a lot of money that he does not want to give up. So, thanks for the question, Heather. Next question here, again, Justin Craig, aka LRH 2.0. Question: do you think some people could benefit from getting involved with independent Scientology? If so, any advice re where to go and where to avoid? Janice?
You know, that is a choice of each individual on what they want to do and what their beliefs are. So that's a personal thing, and there's ways to find independent Scientologists. I mean, I know many of them, but it's up to
there's a Facebook group even.
Yeah, there's several Facebook groups, so they're easy to find and contact. And but that's a personal choice. That's not up for me or Mark to decide for anybody.
Yeah, and if you are generally interested, you can find out. Scientology is really not going to come after you. They don't come after the independent Scientologists. Matter of fact, Janice, you visited, like you did slideshows, right, in Israel and Russia, right?
No, Israel I had to cancel, but I did do Russia. I went to Moscow just before COVID, and I did a 2-day slideshow to them, telling stories and so forth.
About L. Ron Hubbard.
About L. Ron Hubbard. And then I've gone to Reno and done slideshows for the independent group up there, and Los Angeles.
Yeah, we don't make judgment, people. You know, it's not for me, but I'm not going to judge somebody else what they want to believe. So, and of course, we absolutely do not approve of the abuses going on. As a matter of fact, that's why we left. You know, we saw them before just about anybody else, and we tried to tell people that, yeah, we left. We didn't put up with it. Anyway, thanks for the question, Justin. Next question here. Sorry. We got Veronica Bombrio. Non-Scientology are very judgmental about Scientology. I'm finding that all of the escapees are kind, loving, and very talented people. That's what I'm saying. People love us.
We try. We try to fit in. We have.
I don't know many ex-Scientologists that I know that I dislike. You know what I mean? It's, you know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And you know what I found? Even if you dislike them while you're in the Sea Org, once people leave, they become themselves again and likable.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Veronica. Okay, we'll go for the next question here. Question, Vicky Holland. Do parents and public Scientologists know how children are treated in the Sea Org, and do they try to dissuade children from signing the contracts?
Uh, I don't.
I don't know about current, because we're not in touch with current Scientologists,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. But I know that some people where children signed while there was a couple who said their kids signed while they were out of town, and they came back and were very upset that the children had signed and gone in. But as a parent, you can still stop that if they are under a certain age.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the children that are going into the Sea Org now, my understanding is their parents, they were born into Scientology and their parents are Scientologists. And so, they just naturally go into the Sea Org, at a young age. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vicki, for the question. We got a super chat here. Luz7, thank you so much. This is Cheryl in Las Vegas. What's going on with the Las Vegas org? Is there still a celebrity center? It's not a celebrity center that I know of. And I've driven by their ideal org. Okay, it's in one of the worst locations you could have here in Las Vegas. L. Ron Hubbard had specific advices on where an org should be in Las Vegas, and he wanted it near the Las Vegas Strip, which, having lived here for so long, I wouldn't even have it near the Las Vegas Strip. I'd have it in Summerlin or down in Henderson, which is where people live. But they've got it on the side road in the oldest part of town, and there's no body traffic walking by, and the parking lot is empty, and it's just sitting there gathering dust. Janice?
Well, they're at the end of a dead end street.
Yeah.
It's an old.
If you didn't know where you were going, you wouldn't be able to find it.
No, you'd find a parking lot at the end of a dead end street, an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they used to be on a main road, and it had a separate celebrity center. And in violation of Hubbard policy, Miscavige had the org and the CC combined into one org, and that's where it is now. Sorry, a little distraction from the dogs.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, thanks very much, Luz7. I hope we answered your question there. And Viva Las Vegas and go Knights, go. Next question, Wiggly Woo. Thank you so much for the super chat. Mark, during the time you were in, what were the benefits that you thought you got out of the technology? Janice, did you get involved in that also, and your thoughts and thought you got something out of it? For me, I got a lot out of it, but I'm talking about when I was a teenager, okay? I actually did the lower grades auditing. I actually, did my drug rundown, and I did my grades 0, 1 through 4, okay? And I was a very shy teenager. I had lots of personal issues that I was dealing with at the time. And my lower grades auditing actually made me the person I am today, to be honest with you. It got rid of a lot of my hangups and a lot of the problems that I have, my ability to communicate with people. I was very shy. My ability to communicate with women, I was very shy with that. It actually gave me, some direction in my life, and it made me feel like I was doing something valuable. The training that I got in, like I said, in the communications course, I still use to this day without even thinking about it. It's, there's some truth in some of this stuff. Otherwise, all these people would not get involved in Scientology. Okay. We're talking like, if you watch our St. Hill St. Hill video on our channel, you'll see that people in the 50s and 60s flocking to St. Hill in suit and tie. These were our parents and our grandparents and great-grandparents. And they got there because they thought that there was something there that was valuable. And one of the things that I've learned, like I said, when I was talked about Microsoft earlier, about how if everybody had the answer, everybody'd be doing it. I don't think anybody has the total answer. I think there's pieces of truth in lots of religions and lots of philosophies. And, as long as people are helping others and doing good and that type of thing, I let people alone. They can believe whatever they want. And that's my story. How about you, Janice?
Well, having been born into it, I have no comparison of who I might have been and who I am today. But I do know that as a kid, I used to, I had an older brother and older sister. So I think it's kind of normal for one to always ask the sister to ask questions for her. And I used to do that. I used to have Terry do everything for me. Oh, tell the shopkeeper I want this, this, and this. And she'd do it. I didn't want to communicate, but I I've come a long way since then, and I can't tell you if it's because I did the communications course or because I did grade 0 or because of this, the different things in my life. This is the end result. This is what you get. Sorry.
Okay, great. All right, so we're ready. It's an hour and 10 minutes in. We're going to do the giveaway. We still got more questions to answer, people, but we're going to go ahead and do the giveaway for the autograph book for Janis. So go ahead and get in the chat, and we're going to do a countdown. This is Janis's book. She's going to autograph it personally to you and mail it to you. Okay, and that's going to be what the giveaway is going to be. So go ahead, get in the chat, book me. Me, whatever you want to say, get in there, load up the chat, and we'll do a countdown here in just a few seconds here, and you'll hear me count it down, and then we'll just randomly pick somebody. So jump in the chat, people. We need people in here chatting. Go ahead. Please jump in right now. Now is your time to do it. And I think there's a little bit of a lag. And Janis has book 2 as well that you can buy. Like I said, both books you can buy on Amazon, but this is going to be one that we're going to give away for you.
Mark,
yeah.
Mark, let me say, if the person already has book 1 and wants book 2 and is the winner, I will give them book 2.
Okay, so Joel McCoy, that that applies to you.
Oh yeah, Joel, try.
Okay, I'm going to start counting down here in a second. Get in there, people. All right, we're going to go. Okay, I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Marilyn, autograph book? Awesome. Marilyn, you're the winner of the autograph book from Janis. And all you need to do is email Janis at janisgilhamgrady@gmail.com. Right, Janis?
Yes. And if you have book 1 already, I'll send you book 2. Or if you don't, I'll send you book 1.
Yeah, and just email your contact information, the mailing address, and Janis will get that shipped off to you. And we want to congratulate you. And we hope you enjoy the book. Okay. And anyway, we want to thank everybody for participating in that giveaway. And we'll go back to questions. We have 293 people in here that are watching. We need 7 more to hit 300. Hopefully, we'll get them in here, and we'll go back to your questions.
And I hope they've all subscribed.
Oh yeah, subscribe to our channel, please. We've kind of peaked off a little bit. We're about 4,500, and we'd like to get over 5,000. Of course, we'd like to get even more. So if you're watching right now and you have not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified then every time we have a video, and it helps us get the word out to people. Okay. All right. Next question. Irma Webb. Hi, Irma. Do you know if the 1991 Forward Excalibur 1938 saw on internet was written by LRH? States he had a near-death experience. The term was only coined in 1975 by Dr. Raymond Moody. I have no idea what that's referring to. I know Excalibur, that was that unpublished book by Hubbard.
Yeah, that was the unpublished book that Hubbard wrote.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's on the internet, and I don't know anything about a forward that was written in 1991. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Irma. I can't answer that either because I actually don't know.
Yeah.
And
Irma, you have my email address. If you got more information, just email me and we'll see what we can come up together on it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Don't forget you can super chat us too, by the way, super sticker us. Okay, next question, Colonel Brock. Janis, do you have a link to Sven Peterson's obituary?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Colonel Brock. KK, question for Janis. Why did your parents divorce? They both were still in Scientology.
Yeah, and the start of their marriage falling apart was when my mother got declared back during the inquiry, the Victorian inquiry into
She got
Scientology.
declared
Yeah, she got declared
a suppressive person?
a suppressive person back in 1965.
By who? Who did that?
The Hazy, Peter and Liz Williams ran the Hazy. They're the ones that told us she was declared. And then she tried to deal with the Hazy to fix her, and she couldn't. So that's when she went to England and went to St. Hill to get the declare handled there. And while she was at St. Hill, she ended up getting recruited to stay at St. Hill and had the whole family move over. And her ethics officer at St. Hill ended up becoming her boyfriend, and she broke up with my dad. So, very ethical ethics officer.
Oh, and that's why your parents got divorced.
Yeah, but well, interestingly enough, that was back in '66, but they didn't actually get divorced until I think '72, and they remained best friends. And my dad was at my mother's bedside when she died. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, KK, for that question. Next question. Ex-Scientology. Did you use the telex machine to send messages? I found it fascinating pre-email.
Yes. Yes, the little ticker tape. And we'd sit there and type up telexes and run them off onto the ticker tape. And on the ship, or when we were in Tangier, we did the telex machine, the messengers did. You'd just go and put it in the little machine and dial the number and then just let it run. That was fun.
I have a question for you, Janice. I never asked you this before. I remember that, CMO, the Commodore's Messenger org in Clearwater in 1976, LRH was gone. He'd left from Dunedin or whatever. They had their own telex machines and stuff. Was that how they could communicate with Hubbard, like when he was in D.C. and when he went out to California, or what was that for?
Yeah, originally we had the External Communications Office at UCE, United Churches Extension at King Arthur's Court in Dunedin. Yeah. We had our own communications office there. So to communicate to the Fort Harrison, and, Mary soon needed to communicate with the Guardian's office at Worldwide. So yeah, that was all there. And then when Hubbard went to DC, we remained at Dunedin for a bit and would telex him, or mail packs would go to him from there. And then when he left from DC and went to LA, we set up a external comm for him in the manor inside the Guardian's office external comm. We had a desk and telex machine. We used their equipment there. And then the one that was at Dunedin was moved to the Fort Harrison. So we still had communication officers of just LRH communication.
Just exclusively for his use?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for the question. All right, we got a super chat from Gracie Girl. Thank you so much, Gracie Girl. We really appreciate it. How can you be friends with Jackson after him throwing away all your pictures and things away?
We all love Jackson. As I said earlier, when people leave, they change. Yeah. They become themselves again. They're not those nasty people that they turned into while they're in the Sea Org.
Yeah, and I listen. A week ago I did a live chat with Jackson, going over my escape, how I escaped from Scientology, and he was on the security force and all that. And he told the story about his high-speed chase of my wife, my former wife, about a month and a half after I left. That went all night, high speed, in order to recover her and bring her back. And if she had gotten away, I think she probably would have connected with Janice and me, and because it was just shortly after we left. Now, do I hold Jackson responsible for that? No, because he was just doing his job. I mean, it wasn't anything personal. And Jackson, like Janice said, is a great guy, and he didn't really hurt me at that point. It was all he did was he hurt Julie at the time, kept her into Scientology, and I know that he regrets a lot of the things that he did. But we don't hold any grudges or anything like that.
Jackson, when he first came up to the base, the Gold Base at 14, 15 years old, Paul and I were his legal guardians. So we became close to Jackson, being his guardians. So we knew who he really was before he became security.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gracie Girl, for that question. We got another super chat here. Justin Craig, aka LRH 2.0, back from Target 2 with the real tech. Love your content. Hey, you know what? We will do an interview with you with your new tech, okay? And we will announce it to the world. So we want to thank you, Justin, LRH 2.0, for being here. How about you, Janice?
Mark, I don't support that, but dream on.
Hey, it'll get views, that's for sure.
You know, I've just this LRH 2.0 had communicated with me, and his recall is way off.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Justin. All right, love it. Hey, thank you for the super chat, love it. Just because I love you both. Well, we love you too, love it. Thank you so much for that super chat. And then we'll go to the next one here. Another super chat here. It was there. What did I do to it? Oh, well, I don't know where it went. Anyway, Nancy Couch. Janice, I want to buy your book through Audible. However, it is in there twice, one for $14.99 written by Janice Gillham Grady. The other is $22.99 written by Janice Grady. Which one should I buy?
Wow. You know what? I'm going to have to look at that, because the one with the Janice is not me. But the one by Janice Grady, I always, with my books, have my Gillham in there so people know who I am before I was married and after. But that price
Can
for
she email
Audible,
Can she email you once you find out?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Nancy, email Janice, and then Janice will find out and email you back. Okay. This is Janice's email. You can reach her at. Right,
Yeah.
Janice?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nancy. I'm sorry that you had trouble finding the book. All right, we'll go to the next question here. Susanna Pimento. Question: will you always be on alert and trusting? Yeah, I'm on alert, but like I said, at this point in my life, I don't really care what's going on. You know, they could have private investigators spy on me all they want. All they're going to see is me out walking my dog and doing some driving and hanging out with my friends. So it doesn't really matter to me. How about you, Janice?
Yeah. I mean, can't do anything to me. You know, they've tried, and it hasn't been successful. So I'm not scared.
Thank you, Susanna. All right, we got another super chat here from Amanda Mangles. Thank you, Amanda. Hey, wanted to say hi. Love being here for lives. You two are great, and love your stories and how humble you guys are. Keep it up, you too. Oh, that's so nice of you to say, Amanda. We really appreciate it. And you know, we're just telling our stories, and we're telling the truth as best we know it. You know, we'll give some opinions here and there, but you know, most of the stuff that we're telling is basically true stuff, right, Janice?
Yeah, and we're not out to make things up to make it sound worse. We're just trying to tell what happened and let our viewers form their own opinion on if it was abuse or not.
Yeah. Okay, Amanda, thank you so much. We got another super chat here from David Fenwick. Hey, thank you so much for the super chat. Janice, tell us what you can about Otto Roos on the ship. Did he talk about his upbringing in Nazi Germany? We talked about to David before that we're going to do a video on that. You're going to grab some photos. But what about the Nazi Germany part, Janice?
No, he didn't really talk about that.
Yeah, we will do a video. Like we're running across all sorts of people, old timers, basically, you know, with Ken Urquhart talking. We have other people that are now reaching out to us that also want to tell their stories that were on the flagship Apollo. We want to do videos about David Mayo because he was a key figure. Otto Roos was a key technical person, and there's a lot of stories to tell about that. He was before my time, but I know, Janice, you have a lot of information, right?
Yeah. So we'll do a whole thing on Otto. But before we get too much into this, Goldie, can you correct my email address? You've said it's been up there wrong a couple of times. There is no H after G. It's Gillham. Okay.
Janice Gillham Grady. Okay, David, thank you so much for the super chat, and we'll get that out to you. You'll see a video. You know, we do what we say, so we appreciate that. Next one, a super chat from Todd Hodgson. Hey, thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Love the stories. Is A from Australia, Janice? Is that how
Is
their
what
money
in
is?
Australia?
The money. It's A.
Oh, yeah, that probably is Australian money.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you so much, Todd. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. We still have 289 people here, and we really appreciate y'all being here. And we will go to the next question here. And this is from ex-Scientology. Do you think that the early Scientology world was kinder and gentler than it later became? How so? It was for me when I
Yeah.
was a teenager.
But, I noticed, well, 65, my mother got declared. Up until then, it was a wonderful world. I grew up in it. Everything was great. The Scientologists who came and went and did their training were wonderful people. We were like a big, happy family. And then my mother got declared, but the Australians still communicated with her, though we were supposed to disconnect from her. And she moves out because dad had to disconnect. And then dad couldn't deal with us kids, so she moves back in. And dad moved out. But then when we went to St. Hill, everyone was so nice and friendly. But then suddenly there's ethics conditions and people sleeping under their desks. They can't go home and shower and shave or haircuts, and they're wearing dirty rag. And, and it's a gradual thing. And then on the ship, it got even worse. So it's like putting the frog in regular water and turning up the heat and slowly start boiling that frog, and he doesn't notice anything.
Yep. Thank you so much, ex-Scientology. This is a comment from Jefferson Hawkins. Hi, Jeff. Physicist and Nobel laureate Steven Weinberg famously said, with or without religion, good people can behave well and bad people can do evil. But for good people to do evil, that takes religion.
I had always thought it was the other way around. It was supposed to be where religion was supposed to keep you on the straight and narrow, because you didn't want to have to go in and tell the priest or someone about your sins. So you just don't sin.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. That's a great quote. I appreciate it. And if you've got any more super chats or questions, we've got a few more here to answer. And I'll go to the next one here, okay? Colonel Brock again. Was Neil Armstrong ever a Scientologist at the University of Cincinnati?
I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of. He's the first man on the moon, but I don't know about that. Thank you very much. And then we got a question from Marilyn Honig. Mark, can you come to Vermont? I bought a Shure MV7 mic like AA Ron, but I have no idea how to set it up.
Marilyn, that's what mine is. We're in the same boat. So Mark will figure it out on mine, and then he's all yours. He can go to Vermont. or he can FaceTime you and tell you what to do.
Yeah, that's true, Marilyn. Once I figure it out for her, if you want, you can send me an email or a private message, direct message me, and we can hook up online or whatever, and I can help walk you through it. It's probably really simple, but I'd be happy to do that. But that's funny. Not that I wouldn't mind going to Vermont. It's one of the one states I've never been to in the U.S. So, thanks very much for that question. We got a super sticker from Donna Jenkins. Thank you so much, Donna. We really appreciate it.
Donna is?
Huh?
Donna Jenkins is Annie Broker's sister.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
is that her younger sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew Annie a little bit, but Donna, I knew your sister Nancy, right? Nancy Carrasco. I knew her. That was Annie's sister too, right? Janice?
Yes. Yeah. Her older sister.
Her and Pat Carrasco. Yeah, I remember them. Anyway, thank you so much, Donna. We appreciate it. And then we got a super sticker here from Jen. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the support, Jen. Yeah, you've been here several times, and we really appreciate it. Next question we have is, Hubbard gave lectures. This is from, Angus McTavish. Question, Hubbard gave lectures all the time, but after the established ones, nothing. Seen mentions of some mid-70s, but no copies even online. Were you present for any? Where to find them? Thanks. Janice, did he give lectures after like the briefing course in the 60s? And I know he did like Ron's journals and stuff, but I mean, were you ever present for any of the lectures that he would give?
Yeah, Well, on the ship, he would just mostly was doing management, or he'd sometimes have to take people up in his office, and we would record those with a recorder on his desk. But nothing big, you know. There was some Dianetic stuff then. And then when we moved to the US and we were in Daytona, he did some Dianetics lectures then as well. And those were all recorded. I don't know where they are now. So that would have been in 75. And then in 76, he was pretty much DC and then moving to California. 77, he was putting together some auditors in 77, but he never got around to working with them like he planned. So then there was no real lectures after that.
Janis, I want to have a question for you. What about the Welcome to the Sea Org tapes? Were you around for those, or was that before? Like, did he record those when there was just a sea project on the Avon River?
No, I believe those were done in the aft lounge.
But were you a messenger then, or no?
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, on the ship, if he did something with the crew, it would be in the aft lounge, or it was in the A-deck dining room. Oh, the Class 8 tapes.
Yeah.
He did that in 68, 69 in the dining room.
Yeah.
And I was a messenger for those. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Angus. Appreciate that. All right, we got another super sticker here from Jenny Wong. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And then the next question is from Kutalahoek Rivas. Question: David Miscavige has been accused by a woman of kidnapping her and endangering children at Gold Base in Hemet. She wants DNA to prove the accusation. Does Janis have any knowledge of this? Accused of kidnapping a woman and engendering her children. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Well, there is a girl out there who is saying that she has 3 children, I believe, and she says that David is the father of them, and that he had kidnapped her and held her captive in a locked room somewhere. And I knew Dave for many, many, many years, and doing something like that is, one, not something that would run with his type of personality. 2, there's nowhere where he could have kept her without anybody else knowing. You know, there's no way there would be any children without people knowing about it. Wherever she was kept, that would be accessible to him. So I told her, if you want to accuse him, you better get some DNA. But I know I don't know of her having pushed through on that. But
I never saw anything like that
either. DNA test, I don't believe a word.
Yeah, I never saw anything like that. I worked for him for 6.5 years. Now, he is the filthiest mouth person I've ever been around. This guy made cursing and dirty language an art form. I mean, he was really disgusting, but I just never saw him do anything like that.
Right.
Okay, next question. YouTube watcher. Janis is one of the high-ranking members of the Watchdog Committee. Could you speak about the original intended organizational structure of Upper Strata and how then David Miscavige concentrated power through the posts?
Yeah, you know what? We're actually going to do a whole video on that.
Yeah.
We've touched on it here and there, but we're going to save the answer to that with a whole video.
Yeah, it's not true that L. Ron Hubbard did not have a succession plan for when he left. That is complete falsehood. Okay, and he didn't intend to have one person be in charge of everything. And we'll go over that with you. That's part of the structure of Watchdog Committee, Religious Technology Center, Church of Spiritual Technology, and the Executive Director International, and the Exec Strata. Okay, that was supposed to be the management structure, and we'll do that. It's an involved thing, and we're going to go over it. Okay, thank you so much for that question. All right, we got the next one here. Where is it here? Okay, Colonel Brock, Ron was probably the most interesting person you've ever met, right, Janis?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
I never met him, but I would imagine so. I mean, you know, he was involved in lots of things.
Yeah, he was always into something and always had stories, and Yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah, and from reading Barefaced Messiah by Russell Miller, he was always a storyteller. He had charisma. He was a science fiction writer, and he could spin a yarn, and it drew people to him. Right, Janice?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
fun to be around, right, when he was telling stories.
Oh yeah, there were times that he was real funny to be around, or just comfortable and telling stories and caring about different things. And there were times you just didn't want to be around him.
Yeah. Thanks, Colonel Brock. Next question here. Question Luz 7. Question: do you think it's a good idea to mail gift cards to the base and hem it for whoever opens the letter so they can get shampoo, etc.?
Yeah, I
We
think
could
so.
try. I think it would just go to security and they would just keep them. But
Well, you got to have a specific person you want to mail to, but that security wouldn't be keeping those gift cards if they're mailed to a specific person. It's just like they got in trouble looking at Victoria's Secret magazines, so it'll come up in a set check or whatever if they took someone else's gift cards.
But like if you send a gift card to, let's say, somebody who is there, like Mark Yeager or Ray Medoff or something like that. I mean, I don't know that it's illegal for them to open mail coming in, by the way. That's
Right.
a federal offense. I mean, they never opened my mail. And people, they do check mail going out, but I don't remember them ever opening something, that was mailed.
Right.
Anyway.
And I used to, every year on Annie Broker's birthday, I used to send her a birthday card, and I would sign it from a name that she would recognize, but nobody else.
You
But
mean after you left? After you
yeah,
left?
yeah, but I don't know.
Say that again. I don't think I didn't catch it.
After I left, every year on Annie's birthday, I would send her
Annie Broker.
Annie Broker. I would send her a birthday card, but I don't know if she ever got it or not. But it was the thought, to me, it was the thought that counted. At least I would remember her birthday, and maybe one might slip through and she would get it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Seven. We appreciate that. Next question, Frank Moreland. Question, Janice, can you share your thoughts about the David Mayo recording on OT 11 and 12 I emailed about?
Yes, I listened to that David Mayo recording, and I support everything David says.
Okay. And I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
And again, we're going to do another thing on David Mayo. So we'll put a whole thing together on him. So yeah, stick with us, Frank, and you'll get even more information on David.
Yeah, there's lots of subjects. We still have to get to Heber. We got Celebrity Center to go over. We got a lot of things, so we're kind of chipping away as we go along. We've got people that were on the Apollo, that were the captain of the Apollo, that want to be interviewed. I mean, stay tuned, folks. I mean, you want to talk about material that's not just the latest what's happening in Scientology, deal. We're going to actually give you in-depth stories and interviews with people who were there. And I think that's going to be valuable content to help give, it's interesting stuff, I think. Anyway. All right, next question here. Jenny Wong. Hi, Mark and Janice. Aaron interviewed Joe Reach. He commenced in Scientology 78, 79 in Australia. He was a fixture for the Church Scientology in LA and married Carol Masterson. That's Danny Masterson's mother. Would love you to interview him. What do you say, Janice?
Well, we can put him on the list, but I can't tell you when we'll get to him.
Yeah.
This could be, if we just took on everyone who wants to be interviewed by us, would be every day for the next year at least.
But yeah, I mean, we'll put him on the list, really, and we'll try reaching out to him as well. That's a great suggestion, though, Jenny. We really appreciate it. And that reminds me, people, subscribe to our channel. If you haven't already, I know most of you have subscribed to our channel because most of the people watching our videos are subscribers. But if you're new to it, just click that subscribe button. You'll get lots more great information for you. Okay. Next question, ex-Scientology. I saw OTs that got sick. They tried to explain it away somehow by saying it was food poisoning, etc. Did you see clears and OTs get sick? What did they say? What did you think? I mean, people got sick, but it wasn't very often. And to be honest with you, since I've left Scientology, it's been very rare in the 33 years that I've been out that I've gotten sick. I've gotten
Yeah.
the flu a couple of times. I got food poisoning one time in 33 years. That's it, you know. How about you, Janice?
Yeah, I mean, well, I grew up on the ship and I got sick on the ship, and sometimes you get auditing on it, sometimes you didn't. But I've never tried to explain it away anyway, except in Scientology, they do explain it away as your potential trouble source, and is to find out what suppressive person you're connected to that results in you becoming sick. That is one thing they used to do. Or my mother, if I got a cold, used to always ask me, well, what did you lose? And I'm like, I didn't lose anything. I got a cold. But she'd keep asking me what I lost.
Yeah.
But
Janice, I was going to comment that, I mean, I've always had this, viewpoint, like when COVID was out, I just decided I'm not getting sick, and I was out amongst the public all the time, and I
yeah,
wore masks like everybody else, but I've always been that way. It's like, I'm not going to get sick. And a lot of it has to do with your attitude towards it. So you don't catch these things. And I just would stay above it. I wash my hand, you take precautions like you need to take. But generally speaking, I've never had the viewpoint that, oh, I'm going to get sick, or, something's going to make me sick,
yeah, same here. But I will admit, I got COVID 3 times, and
Yeah.
my husband did die from COVID. So
No,
there
I
you
know.
have it. Yeah.
Like I said, it's an attitude. It's just, it depends on how you are. Some people physically, genetically, they get they get sick quite often.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for the question. We got another one from ex-Scientology. Question: what happened to the house that Mary Sue Hubbard lived in? I heard she left the house to her dog.
She did. Well, the house was not to be sold until the dog passed away. And finally, the dog, or I know there's been jokes that the dog was replaced several times over to avoid selling the house. But finally, the dog was admitted to have died. And so the house was then sold. And the money from the house went into Mary Sue's estate and given to her children.
Yeah, and that house was in Los Feliz, right up near off of Vermont Avenue, up near Griffith Park in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah, and she lived there from when she got out of prison.
Yeah. Well, she lived there. Yeah. She got the house before she went to prison.
Yeah, and it was confidential. Nobody knew where it was except for people who had to deal with her. But that's where the house was. Thank you so much for the question. All right, we got the next one, Marjan Kai Kavusi. Question: Are of any of the hundreds, or are any of the Hubbard's kids alive, and what has happened to them?
Okay.
His current kids with Mary Sue are alive, right? But his earlier kids, I don't think they're not around.
Yeah. Well, Nibs, L. Ron Hubbard Jr., he passed away. Katie, she passed away. Katie Gillespie. And then the next one is Diana, who was Mary Sue's first child. Diana is still in the Sea Org. She had left at one point, and then when I was there, she was gone. And then before I left, she came back into the Sea Org, and she's been there ever since. But her daughter did leave. And then Suzette is in the Los Angeles area. She is not in the Sea Org. And then Arthur is also in that area, and he is not in the Sea Org. He does his artwork, and you can find his work online.
Yeah, he's got a website, Arthur Hubbard. You can look him up.
Yes.
Yeah, and then of course we missed Alexis Hubbard, which is the child that L. Ron Hubbard disowned, but basically she passed away too. She's no longer alive. Okay, thank you so much for the question there. Here's another question from YouTube watcher. Do any of you have any OT phenomena stories? What did you think about the original OT levels being discarded for BT auditing? Were entities discussed about before 1967?
Yes, entities, they're discussed actually in the history of man. You'll actually see, it's all talked about in History of Man, which was written, I believe, in the 50s. I'd have to look at that. But as to OT phenomena, when I was in Russia, someone asked me a question and they said, were there any miracles that happened on the ship? And my response to that was yes. The miracle was that we didn't sink.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody died.
Nobody died. We didn't sink. We survived. Every time we sailed to a new port, we survived. Every storm we had, we survived.
When you
Those
read Janice's
are miracles.
when you read Janice's book, you go like, how the heck did nobody die? They were out at sea in storms and they had no idea what they were doing. How did nobody die?
Yes. So I hope that answers your question.
I'm going to answer it with this, okay? And I don't know if it's Scientology or not, but I have deja vu. If you know what deja vu is, I have that happen to me all the time, where something happens and I recognize that I've seen it before or it's happened before. I also think about somebody and the phone will ring before the phone actually rings. I think about that person and the phone rings. I don't know if that's OT phenomena or whatever, but those are the type of things that have happened to me, and I think it happens to lots of people. So I don't know that it's necessarily a Scientology thing. Thank you, YouTube watcher. Next question. Bill Maxwell. Janice, did you take all your personal pictures and other important papers when you left?
I tried, but when I left, I had an off-base storage unit because I'd been at the Free Winds and I didn't want to just leave my stuff at the base and have it disappear and get messed with. So I rented an off-base storage unit. And so when I left, I thought it would be safe. It wasn't. When I came back to my storage unit to get everything, it had been gone through. All my birthday cards from LRH were gone. Any letters from LRH were gone. Uh, a lot of my photographs of me in Sea Org uniform or on the ship, the Free Winds. I had a whole photo album on the original maiden voyage of the Free Winds because I was the mission in charge of that whole evolution. All that stuff was gone. And I was told I could get it all back when I got back in good standing. So here we are 33 years later, and I'm not back in good standing. And from what Jackson has told me, they let it sit out in the rain and got destroyed.
Janice, do you have any idea how they would have known that you had a storage unit that was not on the property?
Yeah, because I had, remember Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Hero.
Next year, I remember Hiro Komodo. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I was on the ship and I needed something, I had Hero as a person able to sign and get access to my unit if I needed something. So Hero knew about it. And obviously he says, oh, I know Janice has a storage unit.
Yeah.
And took them out there. Because when I went to the storage people afterwards, I said, why did you let these people cut the lock on my storage unit? I said, well, Hero was here and he was an authorized person.
There you go. Here was a friend of ours, by the way. He's out. He and his wife Shannon. They're great people.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bill Maxwell. Hey, listen, if you've got any more questions, we've got a few more left to answer, but we're going to cut this off here shortly. So if you've got any more questions or super chats or whatever, go ahead and put them in there. We're going to answer everything that's here, but otherwise we'll be here all night. So go ahead and Janice, star any of the remaining ones as they come up here in the next few minutes, okay? All right, Veronica Bombria, question: do you think all the SPs that have written books would send one to Danny Masterson at LA Men's Central Jail? Even if he doesn't accept it, it may go to the jail library. That's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It'll give him something to do. They're going to declare him. My opinion, he should have been declared long ago a suppressive person. But they're going to cut him loose, real fast. And so he may be open to reading some SP material. All right, next question here. Great Riffy Sphere. Question: did you ever run into Tom Cruise or Maya Rudolph at your meetings? Tom Cruise, I met him. I was there when David Miscavige met Tom Cruise for the first time, and when he came up to the base. But then I was gone shortly thereafter. Maya Rudolph, I didn't even know that they'd met. Go ahead, Janice. How about you?
No, I never met either of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question. Next
Yeah.
question here. James Walsh, paid endorsement. I don't know.
I think that was because of what I said on the Independence. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know either. Anyway. All right. Next question here. Colonel Brock question. Did you ever know a Sea Org member who was chewed out in the face by an OT and thought, this isn't real after all?
No.
Do you understand that question? No, I don't. Okay. Next question. Ann Burrow, thank you so much for the super chat, Ann. We really appreciate it. Since DM, David Miscavige, took over Scientology, they cover up for pedophiles and rapists. Did this happen under L. Ron Hubbard's watch? Go ahead, Janice. We've talked about this on
I can tell a couple of stories on that. Hubbard wasn't big on people having out-of-relationship affairs. It did happen. And I know if they weren't already in a relationship and they had, were having one-night stands or whatever, he didn't invite, they're consenting adults, he left that alone. But if there was a married couple or people in a relationship and a third person got involved in it, that's where he had an issue. And on the ship, there was a time when 11 people ended up reporting to the medical officer's office because they all had a sort of a venereal disease. and it was trained. Well, one person comes in with and goes to the MO, the medical officer, about it. And then it's like, well, who did you sleep with to get this? And then it was an investigation and went back. 11 different people had all been sleeping around. So, of course, that wasn't acceptable. But if they weren't in a relation with someone else, the issue was that they were passing on a disease. Now, then we had a situation where a 21-year-old slept with a 15-year-old. And when Mary Sue found that out, and the 21-year-old thought she was 16, which was the legal age in Panama and England, which were the laws that we were following. But when Mary Sue found out, she went to her cabin, put on her officer's hat, strapped on a knife, went down below decks to find the 21-year-old, held a knife at his throat, and ordered him off the ship. And he was what we call beached. He was offloaded. He was given no money. He had to find his own way home from the dock. So that is how Mary Sue treated it. Now, Hubbard, when he found out, he was going through a PC folder of a girl that was 17 and found out she had slept with a gentleman on the ship. And so he had the messenger go and get him. And he comes up thinking, oh, okay, the Commodore wants to see me. He had no clue what it was about. And this fist just came at him for having slept with a 17-year-old. Then in 72, when Hubbard found out there was a bunch of people sleeping around again or shacking up, he then put out an issue where any woman who got a man to marry her, because it was a leap year, Sadie Hawkins, then she would get a promotion in rank. And if you got married, that meant you got a cabin, so you got out of the filthy dormitories. So we did have a lot of weddings in 1972, and a lot of women got promoted in rank for getting married. So those are some examples.
Yeah, and Janice, you mentioned too on the other video as well that you guys were on a ship at sea, and when somebody said, well, why didn't you turn them over to like the Moroccan authorities or whatever, right? Or the Portuguese authorities, and what was your answer to that?
Well, on a ship in international waters, it's the captain who lays out the law. And so we just pretty much handled it ourselves. Another example was, which I also brought up in an early interview, was a messenger waking up to a guy in her cabin molesting her while she was asleep. And I happened to be the messenger in charge of HCO ethics at that time, and I was ashore on Liberty. And the Commodore had someone go and find me on Liberty to bring me back to the ship, because I was in trouble because HCO and the ethics officer had not handled this person. And he had to handle it himself and get that person offloaded.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anna. Appreciate it. We got a super sticker here from Iman 6818. Thank you so much. We appreciate you watching here. And then we've got super chat from Kat and Maggie. This one's a bit silly. Janis is frequently called OG, Original Goddess. But what is Mark called, or what would you rather not? I've been referred to many times as Marky Mark.
Well, you were just calling yourself the bear.
Yeah. That's a good one too. Thanks very much, Kat and Maggie. And we got another super chat here from Denver Stevo. Please send your 10 to 30 second best wishes videos for Mike Rinder to me, Denver Stevo, Como Mom. Goldie will post it below for you cut and pasters. Yeah, what they're doing is they're doing a little 10 to 30 second best wishes videos for Mike Rinder to recover. And then they're going to actually either, I don't know if they're going to send it to him or if they're going to show it online or something like that. So that's a great cause, to show your support for Mike Rinder and your love for Mike Rinder. So thank you so much for that, Denver Stevo. And I promise I'll be doing mine as well. Okay. Next super chat here is Couch. Thanks for making my Saturday night more interesting. Well, great. We're happy to oblige, and we're happy that you're here, and we'll keep on keeping on. Here's another one, another super chat. How long were you angry after leaving? That's from Beachy Terra. How long were you angry after leaving? I was angry with Miscavige. Right, Janis? I mean, I wasn't angry at Scientology. I was angry with Miscavige because he basically had blown up my life, and I no longer had my wife. I was starting all over again. I had lost my purpose. I thought I was there to help people. And so I was angry at him for a long time. And then I got over it, after a while when you start building your new life in the real world. And it slowly but surely went away. How about you, Janis?
Well, and you got to remember, too, is when you leave, you still are a Scientologist and you believe in it. And you hesitate on leaving because you think you're going to hurt your eternity for having blown. And you're still being a Scientologist and you're thinking one day I'll pay off my freeloader debt and I'll get myself back in good standing. But then as you go along and you start realizing what life can really be like, and you don't have to have Scientology, and be a part of that group in order to survive and enjoy life and achieve things. So, you kind of get over any anger. I didn't feel any anger. I was just, I got to get the hell out of here. But my hesitation was my eternity because I'd grown up with it.
Okay, thank you so much, Beachy Terra. All right, we got just a few more questions left and we'll be done here, all right? Question from Colonel Brock. Was Ron a competent ship's captain, Janis?
Yes. I definitely felt safer with him on board than any of our other captains, because though we had other captains on board at the same time, he would hear the engine knocking. He would feel the ship not moving right. And the message runs would just start to happen. And we'd be running back and forth to the bridge. And then sometimes if we bring back the wrong answer, he gets up and he storms up to the bridge. You've got us all lost. We don't know where we are. And then, he'll pull out the sextant and take a fix on the stars or on a lighthouse or whatever and go to the chart and figure it all out. And we're here. And we didn't sink. We didn't hit anything. So, yeah, he was a competent ship's captain.
Okay, thanks, Colonel Brock. Next question, Janis from its ELC. Janis, do you have any animosity towards LRH?
No, I really don't have any animosity towards anyone. I don't have regrets. I just get on with my life. I don't hold on to things.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question here. Question from Linda P. Golan. When did all the ranks start in Scientology? It was before the SO? Thanks, Janis and Mark, for all that you do. Thank you,
No,
Linda. No, there were no ranks before the Sea Org, right?
right. It started with the Sea Org, and that's where you start off as swamper and you work your way up. And, I heard on Aaron Smith-Levin's channel at one point, someone talked about rank, and he said, oh, the highest level you can get promoted to was lieutenant. And anything higher than that was brevet rank, which means it goes with your job. But that's not true. I was a lieutenant commander, which is above lieutenant, and that was all based on my own merit, not on any job assignment. I was a commander when I was a watchdog committee member, and that was because I was a watchdog committee member, but my own personal rank was lieutenant commander. And so people worked hard to get those ranks and move up in status.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. Next question here. Steve Clark, what does the large symbol beside the runway stand for at the Trementia base? What's done at the base? I'll just briefly answer that. That's Church of Spiritual Technology, and that's one of the hidden locations that they have where there are burying L. Ron Hubbard's technology on titanium plates in all of his lectures and everything. They're putting them underground in mountainsides so that if there's the end of the world, that the technology will be saved. That was L. Ron Hubbard's desire. And the reason that there's these large symbols by the runway is because he wrote an advice to put those symbols there so that if he comes back on a spaceship, he doesn't have to land. He can actually just pull the materials up out of the ground and he'll know exactly where those bases are. He wanted to be able to rip them through the atmosphere. And that's the truth. That he did write that. But anyway, that's what the symbols are. So that they also have that symbol at his ranch at Creston where he died, and also at the other Church of Spiritual Technology locations. Okay. Next question. Life in Sync. Janis, how did you feel when you finished the book? P.S. I'm about to start chapter 13 of Janis's book 1 and appreciate it.
It took me 7 years to write book 1 and book 2. I just sat there and wrote it out. And then it was like too many pages, and I was told, oh no, just put out one book. And I'm like, there was too many good stories to do one book. And so I divided it. And getting it published, it was like having a baby. It was a major, major accomplishment, especially considering I only had a 6th grade education. And anything else I learned after 6th grade was working on the ship for 8 years. And, being around people and just kind of learning. So I did feel very proud of myself for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Life in Sync. We got 2 questions left here. Joel McCoyne, question. Well, another comment. The SPTV family is growing and is made of kind folks, good groups. We'd be lucky to be part of it. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks very much, Joel. We really appreciate that. And then we've got another question here. Irma Webb again. I recently found my maiden name online is clear. I'd gotten hit by a car and got auditing in the hospital. David Mayo was my CS. I never knew I was clear. Any idea why he would do that? Janis?
No.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No, I don't know.
And I got a couple other here. Sorry about that. And this is from ELC. Janis, I'm so sorry you lost your husband to COVID.
Yeah, let me say something on that because I've been reading some of the comments in the chat. And he worked from home. And so he wasn't out there around anybody mixed, that he could catch COVID. But we had a friend who, I'm sorry, some people might disagree with this, but I say after she got vaccinated, a tumor formed in her head and she was becoming more and more of a vegetable. And every 2 weeks, we would go across town and visit her. And we went over there, and the granddaughter was there, and we were having dinner, and the granddaughter saying, you know, I've got this sore throat, but I know it's not COVID. I've been vaccinated, you know, and I went to the doctor and it's not strep. 3 days later, both Paul and I came down with COVID. And I at least was able to pull out of it, but Paul didn't. And I had to call 911 and get him off to the hospital because his blood oxygen level had dropped all the way down to 62. Anyway, and so he ended up in the hospital for like 30 days. Without my approval, they put him on a ventilator, and he was ventilated for 11 days. And then after he came off, we actually thought he was going to make it, but he didn't. And but so I'm just laying it out there so everybody knows what happened, and there's no whatever. You've got the truth on what happened.
Okay, Janice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ELC and Janice. We're sorry for your loss. Next question is from Jay Warren. Question: is any of Janice's books available in audiobook form?
Book one. Book one is in audio form. You can find it on Amazon.
It's also linked on our description and on our YouTube page too.
Yeah. Book two is not done. Book one is done by a professional. Book two, once Mark sets up my microphone, I get time, I'll try and figure out how to do it.
The reason there is no.
And but I have heard that Kindle has something where it'll read books to you. So maybe that'll work for some people. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then we got one other question here. Question: was Janice present when LRH gave the Daytona Beach lectures?
Yes.
What were those, Janice? I don't even know what they are.
He gave a bunch of lectures on Dianetics. He was training a bunch of auditors. I wasn't there for all of them because, well, during that time period, he sent me on a mission to Clearwater because we were in the middle of buying the Fort Harrison and the bank building. And so David Mayo, Hannah, and I went and did a space planning mission, which LRH was our mission ops for. So I wasn't there for all of his lectures.
Okay, great. Anyway, we want to thank everybody for being here and asking questions. Please subscribe to our channel before you leave. If you haven't, please click on that subscribe button. We appreciate it. If you have any other questions here you think of, ask in the comment section. We get back to them, and we will look into them. And we just want to say thank you, right, Janice, for everybody that's been here watching. We still have over 234 people here, and it's been 2 hours, and it's been a lot of fun, right?
It has. And, don't do what Mark said and just push that like button or subscribe. Smash it. Just get in there and smash it and get that done. We got to get our subscribers up. We love it. We love telling the stories and entertaining you guys. You're the best audience. Yeah. I enjoy watching all your comments along the side. It makes this something I look forward to doing and going through photos and I'll talk about this and that. So thank you for being there.
Yeah, and I appreciate it too. We have a good time. I'm really happy to be doing this as well. And we put in a lot of effort. I'm the behind the scenes person doing all this stuff, but I really enjoy it too. So we want to thank you all for being here. And we just want to say until the next time, we will see you later.